Welcome back. This is the dreaded but oh so important lesson about how to handle errors in this workflow. But as a dessert, we'll turn this flow on and have it run automatically. So let's jump in. And there are two errors or two issues that we need to be careful about. The first is that if there's no output of the filter, that's going to throw an error. If there are no high urgency posts, there's nothing to send to Slack. That's going to throw an error. And the second is what happens if there's no Twitter posts or X posts in the time frame that we specified. That could also be an error. Let's go ahead and run. So I've changed the time frame to hopefully have no high urgency posts. And just like you see, we see an error. Now we don't want flows to have errors because then we'll eventually get turned off. So what we need to do is to put an error shield around all of these nodes. We want to say if anything happens after we've grabbed the tweets or the X posts, go ahead and wrap it in an error shield. I'm going to link to a video about error shields in general. So we can't wrap multiple nodes in an error shield unless we have them in a subflow. So what I've done here before this lesson, I've gone ahead and recreated our flow into a subflow. So let me break it down step by step. What we have here are three input nodes that are basically the elements of the X posts or of all social media posts, where we have the post content, the post URL, and then the post author. And just like before, we pass in the post content into the urgency level, right? This goes ahead and categorizes as high or low. Then we write that post to Google Sheet, and then we check whether it is high or low, and then we send a Slack message. So this is going to run one by one for each post that's grabbed in the Twitter scraper. So what I can go ahead and do is actually delete all four of these because now they will be handled in the subflow. So I'm going to add a new subflow like that. A reminder, a subflow are just a series of nodes that are unique that you've created. It's kind of a node that does other steps. I can connect like this and then say, okay, let's go post content, post author, and then post URL. And what this is going to go ahead and do, oh, I forgot the error shield. Very important. Let's not forget the error shield. That is the point of this lesson. There we go. We can drag that in. And now if there's an error, if anything doesn't work in this subflow, primarily the filter, it's going to go ahead and ignore that error. So if we have 10 social media posts and one is urgent, there's going to be 9 errors, but that's okay. It's going to let through that one important post. Let's run through. In this instance, what we want is no output, where we don't want to see an error on the right. And there we go. It's been safely caught by our error shield. And now we can run this flow as many times as we want. So that was error number 1. Potential error number 2 is if there's no tweets or X posts in the time frame. So just like before, we're going to go ahead and add an error shield around that node to say, oh, if you don't catch anything, keep running. This is not an error. And that's fine. It'll run nothing. That's totally fine. Now, I've wrapped it in an error shield. I have to reconfigure, reconnect like that. And let me go ahead and do that. Post author, post URL, and post content. So if I adjust in the last hour, maybe we won't have any posts. Hopefully we won't. Let's run that. And just like that, we didn't get any posts, but there was no error because it was caught in the error shield. Now, with those two errors handled, we can actually make sure that our flow runs all the time, right? So that it runs in the background and we don't have to click run right here. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is put this flow on a schedule. Now, we have to make sure that it runs as often as we want our posts to be retrieved. So I want posts from the last 4 hours. That feels like a right time frame to moderate social media. So I'm going to set that on 4 hours. And now I can add a trigger. And at the bottom, you'll see new time trigger. This is saying how often do you want to run this flow? And then we're going to say every 4 hours. It's going to generate. It's going to say, okay, I'm going to run every 4 hours right on the hour. Let's create that time trigger. And now our flow runs automatically. Every 4 hours, it's going to go ahead and grab posts from X that match our query. It's going to analyze each one of those posts. We're going to identify an urgency level, write them to Google Sheets, filter down the important ones, and send those over to Slack. So if your goal is to moderate social media, you now have a workflow, and there are templates that you can start with that have this format with the subflow that you can go ahead and adjust for your social media platform and for your company. In the next lesson, I'll show you another example of what you can do now that you've kind of grabbed all of your social posts over time, which is write reports about the sentiment of your community or salient facts. I'll see you there. Cheers.